this week I was able to go back to the clinic in Ensenada to see the kids there at the clinic. And so I had kind of like an idea of what to expect in terms of like the site. Like I knew it was like a ranch. So I knew that I was going to be getting dirty, and there was going to be a lot of dirt and stuff like that. I also knew that a lot of the families have limited resources and don't really have a lot of money and are living in like super small houses and stuff. So I kind of had an idea about that. I had never been inside the classrooms though. That was something that was going to be new for me. So that was good. Also, just knowing that like I was going to see some of the kids that I had seen in the past, but also seeing like new kids and new diagnoses and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I was able to go in August, and now that I had kind of like an idea of what I was expecting and how to prepare myself for it. I knew I was going to be speaking a lot of Spanish, so just kind of like practicing that beforehand and stuff like that. Some of the OT content or coursework that we kind of like were implementing our time there was definitely like our PEDS class, things that we've learned about like different interventions and assessments and things like that. We also we also implemented some patient skills, like skills that we learned in that class. We tried to do a slide board transfer, which is something that we learned about. Some of my classmates also got to shower someone and kind of like proper positioning and like how to do that with a wheelchair. So again, that was something that we learned there. Assistive tech, we got to take a switch toy and kind of like use that as during interventions, and also just splinting. Some of us got to splint and kind of help with that, which is again a skill that we learned in assistive tech. And even like things like the intro to OT, like just like explaining to families like, oh, what OT is, or just performing like a mini occupational profile, like things like that we learned how to do in all those like even earlier classes. Was definitely all things that we implemented during that week this week. How did I see the value of occupation in my site? I definitely feel like at the site they really value occupations for the children. So like play, dressing and grooming skills. I really feel like they try to work on those things as best as they can with the resources they have and like the knowledge they have. Obviously they're no occupational therapists, but every time OTs or speech or anyone comes, like they try to learn as much as they can and implement that themselves, which I really think is awesome. And when it comes to the families, I do think it's a little bit different than the US, especially living in a small town when you don't have a lot of money. I don't think that the parents place a big value on these occupations, and I don't think it's because they're doing it with ill intent. I think they're working, they have to provide for their families, they have to make ends meet, and maybe like they don't have time to sit there and like try to play with their child, or try to teach them to dress themselves and things like that. So I don't think that the value for occupations in the children with their families is really high. But again, I don't think it's coming from ill intent. I think it's just maybe even like lack of knowledge, like why these skills are important and how they can support their child. How did I demonstrate my therapeutic use of self? So I kind of had to be one of the people that translated and was translating for whoever. And obviously, like, even though I'm not the one necessarily saying whatever is being said, they're looking at me because I'm the one that's speaking their language. So I definitely try to be as empathetic as possible and warm and like smiled, and made sure that I wasn't being standoffish in any way when talking to these families and children. And I definitely feel like I gained some confidence in this, because last time I didn't feel as confident. This time I felt more confident and more comfortable with being in this setting. And even with like the kids, like it takes me a while to warm up. So I definitely feel like I work both on my emotional intelligence and just like my therapeutic use of self. Because these kids are like just seeing like 6-7 people just staring at them. So just trying my best to like smile and to like make the activities fun for the kids and just um, show empathy towards the parent was really important to me. And how did this fieldwork experience impact my professional identity? I think it really like reassured me that I want to work in peds, that I prefer to work with little ones, as opposed to like a little bit older kids. And also just how this is something that I really enjoy doing, and like I want to come back. I want to go back as much as I can to help them, because I really feel like they value us going, and they're so patient. They like the families drive and like wait for hours, or just they really do want the help. So I really want to continue being, as I grow as a occupation or as a future occupational therapist, and I gain more value, I gain more knowledge and stuff. I definitely want to come back and implement it. But again, like this week was amazing, and I feel like I've learned a lot and grew a lot. So I really, really appreciate going and learning from Professor Lavery and like everyone else.